What a night that was. What a night on London Bridge. I was in my uniform. I was on a nice new bus. Passengers were nice. Everything was nice. And we're living in a society now where people are using vehicles, their own vehicles or hired vehicles, and knives. And I just want you to all know that something needs to be done. We all need to agree on this. We all need to come to some conclusion that action needs to be done at some point very soon. Otherwise, more people will be killed or severely injured. And I don't want to be in a situation like that again on London Bridge or wherever. There's two things that I've learned from this incident. Two things I've learned is, one, people who use vehicles to harm and whatever, they're going to use that vehicle until the vehicle can be used no more. Once that vehicle is damaged so much from hitting people or whatever, the next bit is to get out of the vehicle and use their knives. As I've said here, this is what I use in the kitchen, and they'll use a knife bigger than that. It's quite scary. As you can see, I'm very careful not to cut myself as I put it back in. I'm very careful. These people are not careful. They just want to take your life. I know this video is quite deep, but I'm just telling you what happened to me, Because I've been driving that bus for 5 years over London Bridge, thousands of times. And I'll never forget that one. Never. Never. Even when I'm an old man, I'll never forget. I know that the van crashed about 50 metres down the road from where I was. And I wasn't concerned for those people. All I was concerned about was that woman outside. And my passengers. And the police should be informed. As I got out, as I've said before, there was a man that I didn't know had got hit by a van. So there was two people around me. One I knew wouldn't make it, and she died. The Canadian woman. And another life has been ruined. Her fiance, he's been broken to a million pieces. I saw him. I didn't have the courage to speak to him. I didn't know what happened for an hour. I'm a friendly person. I'll speak to everyone, but he was just ruined. He was shaking, and it was just awful. Everything confusing. It shocked everyone. This was all meant to put fear into us, what this terrorist attack did. We were all confused. So, eventually when the police arrived, so I was just going in between my bus and the people who were down on the ground. And that's all I was doing until the police and ambulance arrived. I couldn't really help the two people who were on the ground because there were 3 or 4 people around them trying to give them something. If I had medical knowledge, I would have tried to help. Which is absolute and utter confusion and chaos. And it was so nice to see the police and ambulance arrive. I remember seeing a policeman. He had been stabbed in the head and he had a white bandage around. He had shorts on. I was confused. Why is he dressed like a policeman but have shorts? I realised he'd been maybe injured in the leg or stabbed. I spoke to him. We spoke. I speak different languages, you see, and he spoke my language, my father's language. And I said, "Are you okay?" He says, "Yeah," because I realised from his accent, who he was, and he was okay, and he was carrying on his duties, trying to look. He was obviously trying to tend to Christine on the ground, on the road, and the other man. And those are the true heroes of that night. They were really the real heroes, the ones that faced these people with knives head on and got injured and carried on. I didn't get stabbed. I didn't, which is horrific for me to experience somebody dying around me. And it shocked me. And 3 days later, I'm trying to recover. And when I think about it, it can send me back. Here again, I've been trying to get my thoughts together with all the different papers. Obviously, obviously that's happening across the bridge. And as you go to the beginning of the bridge, the northbound, there's lots of people here. Lots of people where the people were brought up from Borough, and absolute chaos, really. So anyway, we were taken. Eventually, we had to be evacuated. When I found out, when everyone started to run on both sides, people were running on both sides from the Borough area and the south side of London Bridge. They were running up, because I remember, I thought what's going on. I heard people had been stabbed. Stabbed. That's when I realised, whoa. I should have been concerned about where them people in the vehicle went. I just thought that was the end of it. They just crashed and that was it. So, yeah, that was scary. Everyone had to go. I went back on my bus because I had my passengers, you see. So everyone had cleared London Bridge except me. I was in my bus with I counted 10 passengers. I did a head count, 10 passengers upstairs, and there was 2 children. There was 2 children under 3 years old and their mother, and maybe an auntie, and then there was another couple of young ladies and men. And I was just saying, don't worry, everything's under control. I'm going to look after you. That was my duty, to look after them. And eventually, I reassured them. That was the main thing. The worst is over, don't worry. Eventually the police managed to evacuate them from the bus to go back. I know at some point I did go down near the van, not near the van, but close to it, to see what was going on, to assess the situation. And there was nothing happening there. And eventually, I came back to the bus. I was only a few bus lengths away. I was just constantly around the area, making sure everything, looking out to see, because it was just chaos. It was, great to see the police and ambulance, see the blue flashing lights. When them blue lights come, that was just nice, reassuring. Oh boy. Yeah, it has left me shell shocked, and I'll never be the same again. But I've learned that these terrorists, at some point, they will strike again. I have to prepare myself whenever that happens. That I know that if a vehicle is used, there will be people inside willing to use weapons. Sorry if I'm a bit too deep for you. I know my regular YouTube videos are quite joyful and I like to make you smile. You know me, that is me. But this, I have to tell you it as it is. And it is quite scary. What concerns me is that the van, he wasn't a stuntman. He drove across, weaving in and out, and he crossed the central reservation, taking out his tyres. And that's when the vehicle was disabled 50 metres later. And he decided to crash into people because he knows he couldn't use his vehicle anymore, so he decides to crash into people. That was so evil. I want you to see this is how I am. I'm going to be getting counselling from my work. I know talking about it helps me. And I will deal with it, and I will get back to my old self. Being in the middle of a terrorist attack is... you never know when it's going to happen. Just remember, if you try and call the police straight away, if they don't answer, it's because they're answering someone else who might be calling the police, who's right next to you. Because if there's 100 people calling the police at once, maybe not everyone can get through. So I've learned that basically, okay, police are being called. Because obviously 1 minute before I saw the van, it was already hitting people on the bridge, probably for at least 1 minute, at least. So people would have been calling the police from the beginning. It was scary. If people were facing people with knives, that is very scary. I didn't see any of that at all. Anyway, we were taken away very quickly. We had to go back across the bridge. We were taken in a bus to the Antons hotel, and we all had to give a police statement, which is why they gave me one of these. When you give a police statement and you go sit somewhere else, and then anyone who was important, who in terms of who'd seen the terrorists personally, they had to be spoken to. Obviously, I didn't see the terrorists for a split second. They passed in a van. I thought there was one person in the van, not 3 people in the van. I didn't know people in the van had knives, so you can say I only saw a small pocket of small bit of the whole attack, and it was maybe stretched from the north side of London Bridge all the way to edge of Borough. It would be 300 metres to cover, if not more. But I want to say that the police and emergency services did a fantastic job. Terrorism is going to have to be dealt with. This is a new thing I've never seen before in my life, that I don't know how we can deal with this. We have to deal with this extreme form of terrorism. Communities need to get together. If communities know about extreme people, you need to contact the counter-terrorism, the police. Don't be afraid. Please do not be afraid if you know people. Don't be afraid. Don't be. You got to understand that you are protecting other people and their lives. If you knew about these people, could you have prevented this attack from happening? Remember, the police are foiling a lot of attacks. Is it 30, 35 attacks? I don't know, per one attack that gets through. I don't know the percentage, but I know that they are foiling them. That means they never happen. But what if they did? You never know what part of the city or town there could be attacked soon. I don't want you to all be afraid and upset. I'm just trying to get through this myself. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get some counselling. It's good for me to talk about it. Thank you very much, everyone. I think that's all I can say. We were well looked after. We had food and water, and that was very nice. Everyone looked after us well in the hotel. They dealt with it very well. And they took us home as well. By private taxi. It was very nice how they looked after us. Thank you very much to the police, the British police, emergency services. You really are the heroes. You would put yourself in harm's way. And I'll carry on being a bus driver, do my duties in the future whenever I return to work. Thank you all for hearing what I had to say on that night, and I'll speak to you all very soon.